Have you ever just stared at a massive spreadsheet full of raw economic data and literally felt your eyes glaze over? Just a giant wall of numbers. But somehow, economists take those endless dry tables and transform them into crystal clear insights that actually shape global policies. So, how do they actually pull that off?
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unlock the secret language of economic analysts by diving into a truly foundational text. Chapter 1, Graphs in Economics. We're looking at exactly how raw, complicated data gets translated into really powerful visual stories. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at diagrams versus graphs. Then, the power of visuals, followed by types of economic diagrams. After that, we'll hit the rules for creating visuals and wrap up with technology in economics. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Diagrams versus graphs. Now, in everyday conversation, you and I probably use these two words interchangeably, right? But in economics, they are entirely different tools. A diagram is just a simple picture. It's designed for the general public to explain data that's largely self-explanatory. A graph, on the other hand, is a researcher's tool. It's meant for complex statistical data and requires rigorous X and Y axes. This source text actually spells this dichotomy out perfectly. It notes that a diagram doesn't require a deep, thorough knowledge of statistics. Governments use them all the time to just quickly grab your attention. But for a graph, deep statistical knowledge is absolutely essential. It is definitively not for conveying everyday information to the general public. Section 2. The power of visuals.
Okay, so now that we know the tools, why do we even bother plotting all this out? Well, the answer really lies in the problem with raw data itself. Take a look at these discrete and continuous frequency distributions from the text. Just imagine trying to present these raw numbers in a fast-paced meeting. Trying to grasp the macroeconomic trend of an entire nation from these grids, it's confusing and honestly, it just takes way too much time. And that is exactly where the power of visuals comes into play. By translating those dense grids into pictures, you can instantly spot macroeconomic trends. Things like agricultural fluctuations suddenly make sense. It saves the presenter time in explaining, and more importantly, it saves the audience time in understanding. It is an absolute game changer for clarity. Section 3. Types of economic diagrams. Once you know why you need a visual, well, you need the right tool for the job. The text breaks down 3 really practical bar diagrams. First up is the simple bar diagram. This is your go-to for representing values of just one single variable over a base, like comparing different years or regions. But what if things get a bit more complex? That is when you'd use a clustered bar diagram. It's brilliant for comparing 2 or more categories side by side. Think comparing literacy rates among females and males in a specific year. And finally, we have the divided bar diagram. You'd use this one when you want to show how a single total value is split up into its various subcomponents. This dynamic is brilliantly illustrated by a time-based line graph mapping India's population growth. Instead of trying to parse decadal numbers in some dense, boring table, the curve instantly reveals the whole narrative. You see a steady rise right until the 1970s, a slight plateau, and then a really clear downward trend toward 2011. The story just tells itself immediately. Another absolutely vital tool is the pie diagram, which is perfect for showing parts of a whole. But as the text emphasizes, you can't just estimate or guess the sizes of those slices. It requires strict mathematical precision. By dividing the component value by the total value and then multiplying that by 360, you ensure your visual is anchored in completely accurate data rather than just rough estimates. Section 4. Rules for creating visuals. Now, creating these visuals isn't the Wild West. You can't just throw some colors onto a page and call it a day. The source material provides a really strict mandate for reliability. You absolutely must choose the correct format, prioritize clarity, use appropriate scales, clearly define your axes, state your statistical methods, and above all else, include your original data source. Let's actually condense those textbook rules into 3 actionable, easy-to-remember steps for your own work. Step 1 is clarity. Always use different colors or shades to distinctly separate the components of your picture. Step 2 is labeling. Never leave your audience guessing. Clearly denote exactly what those X and Y axes represent. And step 3, which is perhaps the most crucial for your credibility, is reliability. Always, always state the original source of your data. That's what makes your visual authentic. Section 5, Technology and Economics.
While those foundational rules are timeless, the way we actually execute them has drastically changed. I mean, we're no longer hand drawing curves with protractors, right? Modern tools like MS Excel mean that calculating exact pie chart degrees or plotting continuous frequencies now happens in mere seconds. The software handles all the heavy lifting, which gives you clean, hyper-accurate graphs almost instantly. Furthermore, the internet has completely turned economics from a static, difficult textbook subject into a dynamic, active learning experience. We now have on-demand access to global data sets that we can instantly pull into our software to visualize and analyze. It's pretty incredible.
So, we've covered the crucial difference between diagrams and graphs, the sheer power of visualizing data, the strict rules you need to follow, and the technology that powers the whole shebang. You now possess the foundational toolkit of a true economic analyst. So, with all these tools right at your fingertips, how will you visualize the next big economic shift? Keep analyzing, and thanks so much for joining this explainer.